Uh, Thank you very much, Lawrence. I'm Babu Owino, Member of Parliament for Embakasi East constituency. And concerning the students who are coming from poor backgrounds, not joining the schools that they selected, I think is because of neglect from government. Because when you are doing your KCPE, the first thing you are given a form to fill on which secondary schools or high schools you want to join later on after completion of KCPE examinations. And if you find that the government is taking a student who highly passed to a school that is registering currently a lower mean grade, then it means that this student, even the quality of education that they'll get in secondary school, will not be in tandem to the brain of this student. And you find that such students, when they go to high school, their academic performance starts deteriorating, which is very, very unfortunate. And the government should not come up with the idea of putting these students who are passed highly in schools which are not really performing well. But I'm also of the same opinion that mixing students is not a bad idea, where those who did well are mixed with those who never did quite well. But it is very, very important to cluster the schools, the secondary schools, and get to know the schools in terms of their performance, so that a student's mind is not reduced, because you are a product of those who are surrounding you. If everybody in your class did not attain proper marks, then even you with the highest marks, you will start performing low, because there is no competition. So this idea of even not ranking our students, I don't like it, because there must be competition. Our children must be trained on how to pass, on how to make it in life. And equally, our children must be trained on how to fail in life, because failure to train a child on how to fail in life can be so detrimental to the life of this child when the child grows up. Because if a child is used to just performing well and passing, the day there is one thing that the day this child performs bad or worst in life, only once, can lead to depression to this child. And therefore, we need to train our children on the essence of competition. Even in the industry, the life that they are joining is competitive. The job market is competitive. Every level of life is competitive. Therefore, number one, this idea that the government removed the idea of ranking in schools, both in primary and secondary, is not a good idea. We need to train our children on the essence of competition. Therefore, back to your question, that the government is neglecting children from poor backgrounds. It is only education that can help our children. Education is an equalizer. Education is the passport to the future, and the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Education roots are so bitter, but the fruits are so sweet. Were it not for education, some of us would not be here today. I would never be a member of parliament were it not for education. William Ruto cannot be a president would have not been a president were it not for education. Raila Amolo Odinga would not be where he is now were it not for education. Therefore, it is education that has made all of us. And therefore, education must be embraced and treated with utmost respect in this nation. So the government should stop neglecting children from poor backgrounds and just disposing them off as if they are village salads. These are not village salads. These are cream de la cream of the society. These are people who are brilliant. These are people who are the future of this nation. And a nation that fails to educate her citizens is as equal as a dead nation. Okay.
How do you use CDF to sponsor students through bursaries, and how many students have you sponsored so far, and how much have you used?
CDF plays a very significant role in our education system, because CDF is basically meant for education and security. And in education, it's meant for construction of schools, construction of extra classrooms, purchase of desks, and also issuance of bursaries and scholarships. These bursaries, as Babu Owino, I issue them not based on tribal grounds, because no child applied to be born on any specific tribe. Ile shida ya Mjaluo ndiyo shida ya Mkikuyu, ndiyo shida ya Mkalenjin, ndiyo shida ya Mkamba, Mgiriama na kabila zote hapa nchini. Shida ni shida. Na kwa hivyo, if a parent tells me that they lack school fee for their children, I know what it is to lack fees, because I lacked at some point. And that is why, as Babu Owino, it is my sole responsibility to always issue bursaries to our children, to ensure that our children get education, get educated. It is only through that education that a mama mboga will be elevated by this same child that he or she is educating, if it is a mama mboga or a boda boda rider. It is only through education that will make their children, remove them from those slums, from the villages, from the poverty, from the shackles and bondage of poverty. And therefore, the role of CDF plays a significant part in our day-to-day lives in matters education. We know the role of education in economic growth. When we look at the primary sector, where we have agriculture, mining, we know the role of education in provision of skills that we need in these sectors. We know the role of education in the industry sector, in the manufacturing sector. What education should do in matters skills in these sectors. In the service industry, we know the role of education in it. Therefore, education is the backbone of our economy. Without education, we can't get skilled laborers. Without education, literally nothing can run in this nation. You can't even run a nation if you're not educated. We know of the previous leaders in this same country who were never educated, and we know where the country went to. And right now, it is the role of the president to ensure, as the head of the executive, to ensure that money meant for CDF should be released on time so that our children can go to school on time. And as Babu Owino, I've been issuing bursaries on a yearly basis to a tune of around 17,000 applicants. And everybody who applies in my constituency receives bursary, because I know what education did to me, and I want the same thing to be done, to be transferred to another child in the slums, to a child in the village, so that one day they can enjoy the fruits of education.
How much money have you spent on bursaries, maybe in the last 3 years?
This is my second term, so I served the first five years, and then now this is my first year has just elapsed. So every year I manage to spend around 80 million Kenya shillings in bursaries. So if you do 80 by 5, that is 400 million. Do plus 80,000, that is around 480 million Kenya shillings that I've spent on bursaries that are to my constituents. Because what I normally do, the restricted percentage of bursaries is always given to around 35%. But I always talk to the CEO for NGCDF, thanks to Mr. Mbuno. He's a serious guy who values education. This is one person who always allows me to spend even beyond in bursaries, because that is what our children are going to benefit in terms of education.
Have you interacted with the parents, maybe who have been unable to fund their students because of lack and the cost of education?
There are so many parents who lack money to take their children to school, in high school, and at the varsity level, universities. And it saddens me when I hear that a parent lacks money to pay fees for their children. Because the only one gift that a parent can give to a child, apart from time, is education. You find that a parent was never blessed to get education. But this same parent who was never blessed to get education, the mama mboga, the boda boda rider, who was never blessed to get education, works so hard, wakes up very early in the morning, goes to work, so that they can get money to pay school fees for their children. But on a daily basis, I get phone calls, serious phone calls, from parents who can't make both ends meet, who can't afford fees for their children, whose children have performed well but they can't get money to take their children to school. We just got the results, the KCP results. Children are joining, our kids are joining high school from basically next year, that is 2024, this year actually. And the moment they are joining secondary schools, there are so many parents whose children will not be in a position to join schools because they lack fees. And the children have done well. And right now there's 100% transformation where every person who did KCP is supposed to be admitted to secondary schools. But because of lack of funds, insufficient funds, some children drop out, some will not be in a position to join even Form 1. So that really pains me if a parent has struggled with a child from nursery school all the way to class 8 years. And then on top of that, this parent cannot afford money to take her child, his or her child, to school because there are no jobs. So it really pains and it really saddens me as a parent and as a member of parliament. And I want to tell my constituents, I want to assure you that for me as Babu Owino, I will do what I can, even with my own salary. I will do what I can so that your child is taken to school. I will also ensure that through bursaries, I issue bursaries on time. But I'm praying that the national government moves with speed and releases bursaries so that we can issue bursaries to these deserving children who are going to high schools.
How would you want the government to help those parents who are unable to take their children to school?
You know, education is enshrined in the Constitution, and it is a basic fundamental human right that every child in Kenya should get access to education, and quality education for that matter. And the government must always issue free education, if you ask me, because through education, that is when a country can be built. That is when a country can grow economically. That's when a country can grow. Without education, a country cannot go anywhere. And so it is my prayer, it is my plea that the government must move with speed, make secondary education free the same way primary education is free. Move with speed and make university education free the same way primary education is free. Kibaki did us justice by giving us free primary education, Kibaki and Raila Amolo Odinga. But the presidents who came after that, they are making education very expensive. Right now, for a student to join a university and study just a social science, a normal course for social science is 300,000 Kenya shillings. Where will a parent get this money to educate a student at the university, a student who has passed his KCSE? Where will a parent who is selling mboga, a parent who is driving boda boda, a parent who is going from Jengo, who earns 600 shillings per day, assuming that this parent works for 30 days in a month, will earn 18,000 Kenya shillings in a month. Assuming this parent works from January 1st to December 31st, a whole year, that is 18,000 times 12. This parent will make 216,000 Kenya shillings without resting. Yet, education is 300,000 per year for social science. For a medical course, it is 600,000 Kenya shillings. So if a parent is working from January 1st to December 31st, non-stop, this parent is making 216,000 Kenya shillings. Cannot even afford education for one child. What if you have 2 children? What if you have many other children? You want to take care of rent, you want to take care of your basic needs, other needs that you have, and also you want to educate your children? It is not possible. And the government is intentionally killing education in this nation. And I want to say that President Ruto has defiled the future of this nation by killing education and making education unaffordable, expensive for poor children in this nation. Education that helped him from being a chicken seller to now sleeping in State House. How do you make such a commodity expensive to our children in this nation, knowing very well that is what helped you?
How effective is NGCDF, and has it been remitted even as schools reopen?
NGCDF is very effective because it is even effective more than the county funds. Because through CDF, through 290 constituencies in this country, members of parliament use this opportunity to issue bursaries to take children to school. And up to now, money has not been remitted. Money has not been released to us to issue bursaries. What are we going to do? What are we going to explain to our people? So I think the president is sleeping, or if he is not sleeping, he is weak. And by weak does not mean the strength of physical strength, but mental strength. He is weak mentally.
What contributes to the high cost of education?
Education should never be made a preserve for the rich, the way the president has done it. He's made education a preserve of the rich. And therefore, it is really sad in our nation. Because what do you need? Why do you need to make education expensive in this country? The president himself, while he was in school, he got something called boom. Boom is an equivalent of help, but boom was a grant. Help is repaid. They never used to pay boom. And that is how he got to attain his education. Otherwise, from Sugoi to Nairobi, he would have never seen even the roads of Nairobi, even Tomboya Street. He would have never stepped there. Why it not for education? And therefore, it is just an intentional thing, a way that the president wants to use, the government wants to use, to raise taxes. He should not use education to raise taxes. Education should be affordable to all, not a preserve for all of the rich.
What would be the solution to make the cost of education?
The solution is just the mindset. Let the government, the national government, because education is a function of the national government, let the national government, through the president, who is the head of the executive, make a decision and say education should be free for everybody. The same way primary education was free. What did Kibaki do and Raila Amolo Odinga do to make education free at the primary level? The same principle, the same policy should be used to make education affordable to all. Remember, part of the Vision 2030 was to set up education institutions, academic institutions in every county, which has successfully been done. Then why don't we now make it affordable to all? Because education institutions, academic institutions have been brought closer to the people. Then why are you denying them an opportunity to go to those institutions by making education unaffordable? The high cost of education is really saddening Kenyans in this country. And therefore, it is just a mindset that the national government, through the president, must come out strongly and say that education must be free from primary level to secondary level to tertiary level, or rather the university level.